Good afternoon. Welcome to our, I would like to say daily live webinar, but unfortunately daily would not work. Things come up, but I try to do it at least 3 to 4 times a week. Those of you who have not yet registered for this weekend's live webinar, after you have registered, I would send you the various details for the webinar the day before, the Zoom details, and at the same time, when you register, you may provide or stipulate a question you would like me to deal with during the live webinar. I would obviously apply my mind to the question before the time, and once the webinar streams live, I will deal with that specific question. And if you are online as well at the same time on Zoom, you're welcome to unmute your microphone and engage with me further regarding that specific topic. It's very useful for those of you, and with respect to everybody, would like to speak to a legal professional dealing with family law matters. The webinars are, of course, free of charge. You are welcome to act, and sometimes you do not have the time to meet with an attorney or an advocate or a family law specialist to discuss your legal matter, and this is a perfect platform to engage with someone. And at the same time, if you cannot attend the webinar on Saturday, after you have registered, we'll have your details and we shall forward you the specific video later to watch via YouTube. So that's also something for you to consider. And who said legal services are not always available and accessible to everybody? That's what we're trying to do, trying to make legal services and advice as accessible and possible for everyone. Okay, so today's topic, simple topic. Who will get custody over our minor child, the mother or the father? The reason why I say mother or the father, other people, third parties could potentially get custody over a minor child. Grandparents, aunts, uncles. It's possible. If the court determines that it is in a minor child's best interest for a third party to have rights of care and contact to a minor child, if there are interested parties, etc. So that is possible. But in today's webinar, we're only dealing with issue concerning moms and dads. If there is a dispute with a mom and dad regarding custody, who will get custody? Interesting topic. Do I suck my thumb? Do I guess? Do I spin a wheel and determine? Obviously, there has to be some type of, measuring of who would be a better caregiver and what would be in the minor child's best interest. And in doing so, I have 3 questions on the whiteboard. Those are random questions people usually pose, and you will actually find it interesting that those questions get posed a lot. It's quite frequently asked because everybody's circumstances are different and everybody at the same time might overlap regarding certain issues. Okay, the bottom line is, and as you would know, and after you watch many of my webinars, the law looks at what is best in the minor child's life, the minor child's best interests. Obviously, it will be in the minor child's best interest to go to the best of schools, to have the best of caregivers and so on, but that is obviously not possible for everyone because money is scarce and so on. But we need to look at the circumstances holistically, mom's position, dad's position, the child's position, and we have to determine, looking at your specific circumstances, the child and your family unit, what is best for the minor child under those circumstances. And the court will have to look at that. So the court looks at a few aspects. The court will look at the physical aspects. Can you provide the child with a shelter, with a home, and so on? That's one of the aspects, but not the most important one. It's one of the many aspects that applies. For example, a parent might have a wonderful mansion with many caregivers in the mansion, the best of everything, but if he or she cannot care for the minor child, but the other parent who does not have all those amenities and all those luxuries can better care for the minor child in a smaller place, and so on, then the court will order that the wealthier parent should obviously pay more maintenance for the minor child so the minor child can be properly cared for by the other parent. Because looking at the matter holistically, it's obvious that the other parent can care for the minor child much better, despite him or she not having a lot of money. But the other parent has money, so they can work together considering that specific scenario. I do not want to give a blanket definition of how to apply the child's best interest principle because each family unit is different, all circumstances are different. However, you need to determine, is a minor child psychological, emotional, educational, well-being looked after should a certain care and contact arrangement be implemented. But at the same time, it cannot be done in a vacuum. That's important. Many people do not see that or understand that. Each circumstance are different. For example, if the father is available, he works at home, he starts work very early in the morning, like 3 o'clock, and the child is still sleeping. And when he takes his break at 7 o'clock, he can attend to the child, take the child to school. He continues working from home or does his rounds, whatever he does, and he's available to collect the minor child from school. He's done working out for the day, and then he can focus on the minor child's schooling, education. And the mother in this circumstance, in this specific scenario, works a normal 9 to 5 job. She has to be up at 6 o'clock, at work at 8 o'clock. She does not have the time and the capacity, put it that way, compared to the father to care for the minor child as well as the father can care for the minor child. Under those circumstances, looking at those facts alone, it would make more sense for the minor child to primarily be cared for by the father as opposed to the mother. Under those circumstances where everything else is equal. That's where I'm going to. However, if the mother works all those specific hours, but the father is available at home, but he doesn't have the capability to care for the minor child emotional, psychological, well-being. For example, he cannot communicate well with a minor child. All that he can do is at home, but when the minor child gets hungry, he does not know what type of food to make for the minor child. When the minor child will speak to him, they can't communicate very well. When the minor child gets ill or down and out, whatever the case may be, they cannot communicate so well with each other. Then under those circumstances, it makes more sense for the minor child maybe to be in the father's care during the day. For example, he can collect the minor child at the mother's place, take the minor child to school, collect him after school, look after him until 5 o'clock when the mother comes home. And the mother is the one that cares for the minor child during the evenings, develops his emotional, psychological well-being further. So therefore, you have to look at the matter holistically, not only one specific aspect. Despite the father having a wonderful swimming pool, being able to give the minor child the best of clothing, food, and accommodation, amenities of life, the best of PlayStation, super fast internet. That's what kids most probably like nowadays, fast computers. But the mother is a hardworking person, but she can deal with the minor child's psychological, emotional well-being. She's able to speak to the school teachers, the minor child's teachers. She's able to engage with him meaningfully. But the father cannot do that. The father is focused on his work. He's a wonderful guy. No respect to the father in my fictitious scenario. However, he just cannot, unfortunately, look after all the minor child's needs. Yes, he can collect the minor child from school, bring him home, feed him most probably well, maybe help him with some of his homework, but that's it. That is as far as it goes. However, on weekends, wonderful. The mother can have her weekend with the minor child and the father can have his weekend with the minor child. Let us deal with question number 1. I just gave birth to my second child. Can a mother lose custody for not having a job? Random question. So the mother has custody of the minor child with someone else. She most probably fell pregnant and had a child, but she's unemployed. Can a mother lose custody for not having a job? That does not make sense to me. The law looks at what is best for the minor child. If she does not have a job, but the father has money, but she can care for the minor child better than the father, then clearly the father must send some money over to the mother so she can continue caring for the minor child to the minor child's advantage. And the father should have contact with the minor child every second week and maybe after school, midweek contact, and so on. But the principle which I'm trying to bring home is that if someone is unemployed, a mother or a father, whatever the circumstances are, it does not by default mean that you cannot have primary care or custody over the minor child. The two are separated. In the same way, if a mother falls pregnant and has another child, it does not mean she cannot have custody over the first child. Unless there are circumstances which you can place into this equation that would now make sense to separate. No, and under these circumstances, the child would be better cared for by the father, and the father is capable of caring for the minor child. That is also very important. It's not like one or the other automatically. If the mother done something wrong, automatically the father has custody. Can the father have care for the minor child? It will be silly if the father is somebody that works the entire day, like many of us do, but he does not have time for a child. And now the mother gets a second child with a new partner, whatever the case may be. She's still able to, my apologies, to care for the minor child. But the father cannot do it as well. As I mentioned earlier on, that the logic does not apply in that specific sense. Question number 2. I was never married to my child's mother. We broke up years ago. When should a father fight for custody? My quick answer would be you fight for custody the moment you believe that minor child would be better cared for by you. You need to know that. It cannot be an issue of pride, ego, you being narcissistic, and so on. You need to determine, yes, I do not like the mother of the child. I don't like her. I used to like her at some point. I don't like her anymore. However, would the minor child be better cared for by me? And if you believe holistically and considering everything that the minor child would be better cared for by you, then obviously my advice to you is you need to implement your plans in order to get custody over the minor child. But if it's not, why would you want to do that effort? Why would you want to uproot the minor child and so on? So therefore, long and the short of the matter is you decide whether or not you would like to make an application to have primary care or custody over the minor child or fight for it if you are convinced it would be in the minor child's best interest, despite you not having been married to the child's mother. I think that was the first point this person wanted to bring across to me. If you have any questions, feel free to post it on the Advocate Muhammad Abduroaf Facebook page. I'm having a look at that. Otherwise, we can continue to question number 3. I hate my child's father. How can I avoid joint custody? So what is joint custody? The general term would be, or the general definition, or the layperson's definition of joint custody would be whereby the parties share care over the minor child, where the child lives with the mother for 1 week and with the father for the other week, or on a 4-week rotation, the minor child would ultimately have stayed with the mother for 14 days and with the father's home for 14 days. That's how it basically works. Some people have a 3-day, 4-day, 4-day, 3-day type of scenario, but at the end of the 2 weeks, they would have had 7 nights care for the minor child. Hating the child's father is one aspect. You're welcome to hate whoever you want to hate. That is now obviously a factual thing. There's nothing I can do about that. You would obviously want to implore parties to start putting the issues aside and start focusing on what is best for the minor child. Because if a couple have separated or they broke up and they're no longer together, divorced, whatever the case may be, yes, unfortunately for them, the relationship has broken down. But fortunately, on the other hand, they have a child, which is wonderful. Now, they might have been a bad couple. It didn't work out. They didn't gel well together. But why can they not be the best co-parents for the minor child? That's really important. Because you might have failed here, but be an expert here. Be somebody wonderful here. Yes, I know it's difficult. When I speak to the father tells me, the mother is difficult. In my mediation sessions, the mother is difficult, and she's the one that's full of nonsense and etc. And she met another guy, and I don't like the new guy. Then when I meet with the mother in my caucus with the mother and hear from her what is her issues, no, the father is a difficult one. He, had an affair, or he's never involved in the child's life, or he never done the dishes, and whatever the case may be, or he does not want to pay for this, or he does not want to pay for that. All these problems comes about. And it's funny, had I been an advocate for the mother, I would have pursued her case most probably, or had I been an advocate for the father, I would have pursued his case, but unfortunately I'm mediating the matter. I would never be able to represent any of those parties, which I'm happy, so that I can give them, proper guidance and assistance. I'm a mediator, I'm not here to make a decision for the parties, but I listen to both sides of the story. And sometimes it's just an issue concerning, where the parties cannot see eye to eye. They're still dealing with prehistoric issues, for lack of a better way of stipulating it. Things that happened 5, 6, 7 years ago. They were separated for the last 3 years. So try to be the best co-parents for the child. Sorry about that, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I see there was no sound on the other side. Nonetheless, please register for the webinar as soon as possible. And once you have registered for the webinar, you would be able to engage with me on Saturday, where I would love to speak to you. Please remember your Zoom, that's one platform, but what we broadcast is something else. So your photograph or your picture will not appear on the video. Thank you very much for your time. At the end of this video, please spend some time to register for the webinar.